welcome back to bmaster79. In this video we are taking on an ielts speaking part 1 topic, borrowing and lending. We will brainstorm every question together, and then I will give you a full set of Band 9 model answers. First, remember what part 1 actually is. It lasts 4 to 5 minutes. The examiner asks short personal questions about familiar topics, and the whole point is to settle you into the exam. It is a conversation, not a lecture. Candidates lose marks here for two opposite reasons: answering in 3 words or delivering a memorized speech. Here is our topic: borrowing and lending, with 4 questions. Have you ever borrowed any books from others? Have you ever borrowed money from a friend? Do you like to lend things to others? And how would you feel if somebody borrowed something from you and never gave it back? Take a moment to read them, and notice that every single one ends with why or why not. Every strong part 1 answer has the same shape. Answer, reason, extend. Answer the question directly in the first few words. Then say why. Then add one concrete detail, or a contrast, or an exception. 2 to 4 sentences is the sweet spot. Any shorter and you have not shown the examiner anything. Any longer and you are giving a part 2 speech in the wrong part of the test. Question 1. Have you ever borrowed any books from others? Let us brainstorm before we speak. On the left, the ideas. Yes, constantly, and mostly from friends. It is cheaper, because books are expensive. I read a book once and never twice, so owning them feels wasteful. But I always return them quickly. On the right, the language that will carry those ideas. Share my taste in fiction. Get through books quickly. It seems a bit wasteful, religious about returning them. And here is the answer. Yes, all the time, usually from friends who happen to share my taste in fiction. I would much rather borrow than buy, partly because books are pretty pricey here, but mainly because I read something once and then never touch it again, so filling my shelves with them seems a bit wasteful. I am religious about giving them back quickly, though. Notice the shape. Direct yes. Then 2 reasons, ranked with partly and mainly. Then a small extra detail at the end. Question 2. Have you ever borrowed money from a friend? This one is more sensitive, so brainstorm carefully. Ideas. Only tiny amounts, a coffee or a taxi fare. Never anything substantial. Money can sour friendship. I would ask family instead, because there is less awkwardness. Language. The odd coffee. Left my wallet at home. Sour even a close friendship. And a second conditional, if I were really stuck. Only in very small ways. The odd coffee or a taxi fare when I have left my wallet at home. I have never borrowed anything substantial, and honestly I would be quite reluctant to, because money has a way of souring even a close friendship. If I were ever really stuck, I think I would approach my family first. There is simply less awkwardness involved. Listen for that second conditional. If I were ever really stuck, I would approach. That single structure lifts the grammar score on its own. Question 3. Do you like to lend things to others? Ideas. Yes, I am relaxed about it. It costs me nothing to help. I would hope they would do the same for me. But there is an exception: books I love, so I joke about wanting them back. Language. On the whole, fairly relaxed about it. Attached to something. That usually does the trick. Notice that the exception is doing the heavy lifting here. An answer that is all one direction sounds rehearsed. An answer with a but in the middle sounds real. On the whole, yes, I am fairly relaxed about it. If a friend needs an umbrella or a charger, it costs me nothing to help out, and I would like to think they would do the same for me. The one exception is books I am genuinely attached to. I have lost a couple of favorites that way, so now I make a bit of a joke about wanting them back, and that usually does the trick. Question 4. How would you feel if somebody borrowed something from you and never gave it back? This is a hypothetical question, so the grammar matters. Ideas. It depends what it was. Something trivial, let it go. Something sentimental, genuinely annoyed. And crucially, it is not about the object, it is about the disrespect. I would hint before confronting. Language. It would depend entirely on. I would probably let it slide. Make a fuss over it. Sentimental value. Drop a gentle hint. It would depend entirely on what it was. If it were something trivial, I would probably let it slide rather than make a fuss over it. But if it had any sentimental value, I would be genuinely annoyed, not so much about losing the object, but because it would suggest they never took the arrangement seriously in the first place. I would drop a gentle hint long before I said anything directly. Here are the first two answers written out, so you can pause and study them. Read them aloud. Copy the rhythm before you copy the words. And the last two. Again, pause the video and read these aloud. Shadowing a model answer is far more useful than simply reading it. Now the single most common mistake on this topic, and it costs candidates marks every single day. Can you borrow me your pen? That is wrong. Borrow means take. You borrow something from someone. Lend means give. You lend something to someone. So the correct sentence is, can you lend me your pen? And the past tense of lend is lent, not lended. Lended is not a word. Here is your language bank for this topic. Borrow something from somebody. Lend something to somebody. Pay someone back. Be strapped for cash. Owe someone a favor. Let it slide. Drop a hint. Sour a friendship. Be attached to something. And do the trick. Screenshot this slide. 10 phrases is more than enough for any borrowing question the examiner can ask you. Why is this band 9? Fluency and coherence. The ideas connect without effort, and any hesitation is for thinking, not for hunting for words. Lexical resource. Idioms like sour a friendship and let it slide, used naturally rather than bolted on. Grammatical range. Second conditionals. The not so much X as Y structure, and a comfortable mix of tenses. And pronunciation that is effortless to follow. One honest note. These answers were checked in-house against the public ielts band descriptors. That is a quality check, not a score awarded by a certified examiner. Your turn. Record yourself answering all 4 questions. 2 to 4 sentences each, no more. Use at least 3 phrases from the language bank. Then listen back and ask yourself, did I answer? Did I give a reason? And did I extend? Post your best answer in the comments, and I will read them. Thanks for watching the Master 79, and I will see you in the next one.